Hey YouTube, welcome back to Military Money Mastery. I'm Dave again. Thanks for tuning in so much. It's 1st of February already. 2019's crazy, it's been flying by. We're gonna go over the life cycle funds today. Super exciting stuff. I'm really stoked about it. As you can see, I got all the percentages last year listed. So this is a super exciting topic for me. All these different funds are really beneficial. So we're gonna start by going over what they are. We're going to go over what the differences between all the funds are. Obviously, you see there's quite a big difference between them. Then we're going to go over, are there any risks to these funds? And there absolutely is, and we're going to go over that. Are there advantages? Totally are. There's advantages to being in these funds versus just being in single funds. It's really cool. And then we're going to go over, should we really invest in these funds? Absolutely. There are times that even I go into some of these funds, and we'll discuss those kind of situations.
All right, so life cycle funds, that means that it's a pay no attention investment fund, right? Totally. Actually, like, this really does hold some merit because there is quite a bit in these funds that you don't really have to pay attention to, which is kind of nice for a lot of people that don't really watch the market or don't really have time to. So we'll go over a little bit of them. So let's start off by what the life cycle funds are. So life cycle funds are professionally determined investment mix that is tailored to meet certain investment objectives based on various timelines. Hence the 2050, 2040, 2030, 2020, and the L income funds, fund groups or whatever. The main focus of these funds is to balance between expected risks versus return. Each of the L funds has a target asset allocation, meaning that each one is made up of the combination of the G, F, S, I, and C funds. This is used to maintain optimal balance between them, so it's like they kind of put everything into a group so that it maintains a balance. As a mature year comes closer, the funds tend to become less and less risky and more conservative. Sorry if the word conservative triggers some people, but that's just how it is, or that's just what it's called. So that means, typically that the earlier the funds are in their lifetime, so like the L 2050 is going to be a lot more risky than than say like the L 2020 or the L income. During each quarter, each of the funds target asset allocations change, bringing it more and more conservative. And the rate of change is determined by how close it is to its end. They call it time horizon, or the target date. So let's go over what the differences of the funds are. So here's like another little page of it, and you can see how the expected return is a little bit higher based on when it's going to mature. So let's go over some of the funds. As you can see, this is how you get to the page, and it's going to show you. You click on investment funds at tsp.gov, and then life cycle funds, and you have this awesome life cycle funds key features page. So we'll start off with the L income fund. Basically, this fund is very conservative, has almost no rate of growth. Currently has 74% just about in the G fund, as you can see here, which is very conservative. And as you can see, it's starting to get less and less risk, or it's less risky than all the other ones because it only has 10% in the C fund and 7% in the I fund, which is, it still has those in there because it wants to preserve your capital, which is why it's so high in the G fund, but it has the C and I in there because it wants a little bit of exposure because you want to be able to beat inflation. And a lot of times the biggest risk with the G fund is that it won't beat inflation. It has beaten inflation in the past, but there's times where it doesn't. So the main focus of this fund is it's designed to produce income for retirees, and has a set allocation of funds. So this isn't changing. Like the way that it's set up right now, it's not going to change in 10 years, unless somebody comes in and changes it. But so this is basically what it's supposed to be. And you can see it's very low rate of return, but it is beating inflation, which is good. So next one we'll go over is the L 2020. So this is a little bit less conservative than the income fund. As you can see, the G fund percentages have gone down a little bit, and you have a little bit more in the C and I fund. So that was at about 15% in the C fund and about 10% in the I fund. So it's starting to get a little bit more risky. So this is obviously meant to be withdrawn between 2020 and 2020 or 2024. Sorry, it's hard to say. So if you're hitting that retirement age of 59 and a half or later, or you want to start withdrawing, even if you aren't, even if you're over that age, this might be a decent one to go into. Once this matures, it's going to go into the L income fund. So if you want to keep it as a little bit more growth, maybe diversify your own portfolio so that it hits these numbers. If not, you can always just go right into the L income fund. So let's go over the L2030. So this is obviously starting to become a little bit even more risky. So you see you have only 33% in the G fund, and a little over 30% in the C fund and 21% in the I fund. So it's starting to get a lot more risky. You're starting to have a lot more what do you call it? So you're starting to have a lot more exposure to the market. The C fund is starting to get bigger. It's almost as big as the G fund at this point. And you can see like last year it didn't do very well, but that's because the market towards the end, so you see here December and November or October were very poor months for the market. But this fund it's set to mature between 2025 and 2034. So if you're right around that 50-year mark, right, or 50 years old right now, this might be a good fund for you to be in. It's going to be pretty conservative with your money, but it's also going to be, you do have a good chance for growth. So it's a very good fund to be in if you're close to that age right now. So let's go over the L2040. So it's fairly aggressive. As you can see, the C fund is overpassed the G fund as far as weight goes. You also have 25% in the I fund, which is pretty high, and then about 11% in the S fund. The S fund's pretty good for growth. So this is a good fund if you're planning on hitting the 50 or 60 year mark right around 2040. You're going to be withdrawing this between 2035 and 2044. So if you're hitting 59 and a half or 60, whatever, right around those times, this might be a good fund for you to get into. So let's go over the L2050. So this is obviously the most aggressive of all the L funds. This is for the younger people who, if you're, like 18, 19 right around now, this might be a good fund for you to get into if you're not willing to watch the markets. So this has the highest exposure to volatile funds, the C, S, and I funds. As you can see, it has 40%, a whopping 40% in the C fund, just about 29% in the I fund, and 13% in the S fund. So this fund is extremely aggressive. It's really, really good for growth over a long term. So if you're a younger investor and you're looking to put into a life cycle fund, this is a really, really good option to do so. So let's go over some of the advantages of these funds. So obviously, the 2050 and 2040, they're very aggressive and great for growth. So if you're younger in your career, these are great for increasing your TSP portfolio size. One of the best benefits of putting into these funds is you don't have to put into them, for your entire career. You can come in and out of them just like any of the other funds, but it's really good for, like say you're getting ready to go on deployment. And I don't know about you guys, but whenever we go on deployment, our internet is so slow, or like maybe we can't get to a computer, or, and trade funds, or like look at the markets, whatever. So just put your money in one of these funds and just, set it and forget it. It's pretty convenient that way. And like I think Dave Ramsey recommends, just as far as these retirement accounts, you just set and forget and just keep putting money into one of these funds, and keep making money. So it's really good. Also, these funds are very diverse. If you look at the exposure to all the different markets, it has a little bit in everything. So you're not, if one market completely tanks, you're not out of you're not up a creek, so that's pretty good. And it's actually designed by TSP consultants themselves. So it's really, really what's the word I'm looking for? It's really, really well done. A lot of these funds are really, really well done. It's a little bit too conservative, or they get too conservative for my personal taste too quickly, but they are very good funds if you're not watching the market, and not everybody wants to, or not everybody has the time to. So it's a really good way to just put your money in and wait, wait till you're 59.5, or wait till you whenever you want to withdraw. So let's go over, like, should you invest in these funds? And like I was saying, if you're not really into researching the market, and you don't want to watch the TSP share prices, go to tsptalk.com and look and see what everybody's doing, and see what the best form of investment is, then this is great. Also, if you're about to go on deployment, just sink your money into one of these. That way you don't have to worry about markets crashing or whatnot. I mean, the markets will crash, but at least your money is going to be a little bit more diversified, and you'll definitely have a lot more protection against some of these crashes. And you gotta like, really ask yourself, are you interested in this kind of thing? Are you interested in watching, like, the C, the S, the I, the F, the G, all the different funds, or watching the market? And if you aren't, then maybe this is a great fund for you to invest in. I know a lot of people invest in these funds because, let's be honest, like, not everybody really cares. Not everybody wants to take the time to look at their retirement funds. So this is a great way to do it. Also, like, how old are you? And, you have to base, like, what you want to do with your retirement based on what age you are. So, like, you see we have this cool little graph right here. Obviously Jenny is pretty young. She wants to invest in the 2050 fund, and Dexter's getting a little older. He's kind of middle age. Was that like 44? So he's probably gonna go in, like, the 2040 age, because he'll be, right around that 59.5, 60 range, around there. And then you got Bobby. She's older, so she wants to be in the 2020 because she's getting ready to retire. She's getting ready to withdraw right now. So that's the basics of the L series, L cycle funds. They're pretty cool, pretty great tool to use if you have the option to. So let's go over some future episodes. We're gonna get started into some really fun stuff that I think is fun. I want to go over some advantages that were afforded in the military, specifically how you can become a millionaire in the military. And yes, it is possible. Everybody can become a millionaire in the military if you start young enough. Even if you start older, you could still become a millionaire in the military. I promise you. We're going to go over how you can do it. What you can start doing, especially when you're younger. And if you're older, let's find some ways that you can catch up, and maybe that you can start increasing that overall value. But anyway, I'm Dave from Military Money Mastery. Thanks everybody so much for tuning in. Please hit that like and subscribe. Please share the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.